Welcome back. This is Pastor Cat, and this is your 5-minute devotional. We've been studying through the book of 1 Samuel. We started at chapter 1. We've worked our way all the way up through chapter 24. Now, if you've been following along, you know that David has been anointed to be the new king of Israel. And Saul is not thrilled by that idea. He's been going along with it, but very cautiously. So much so that David has been on the run in fear for his life. Now, last week, Saul actually passed away. And so because he's no more, David is now journeying back with his men, ready to take over the throne that God has set aside for him. Now he hears that there is a man by the name of Nabal, and he is throwing a big feast. See, it is shearing time, and Nabal is a wealthy individual. He's been shearing all of his sheep, so he's going to throw this large party, kind of an end-of-the-year feast, and invite the neighbors and all of his servants and have this big shindig. David and his men are hungry. So David sends a couple of his men ahead to go ahead and meet with Nabal and say, we're going to swing on by, set aside some food for us. The king, David, desires to feast with you. Nabal, who is called a fool in this passage, rejects that and says, I don't know this David, I don't know nothing about it. He kicks these young boys away, actually accusing them of having run away from their servant and just trying to get a free meal out of him. So he kicks them out, and these men run back to David. Now, if you're anything like me, you do run into fools from time to time. Now, I want you to be a little bit cautious with this word. When you read the word fool in the Bible, it very seldom refers to someone who isn't smart. Now, it may refer to someone who is also not smart, but the word fool itself actually means foolish in the ways of God. And this happens in our life all the time, where there are people that are in our way, or people that we come in contact with that are clearly foolish. They don't really understand how God works. Yet, because they're successful in some point of their life, they do desire to push their wants and their wishes and their ideas on us or on those around us. And this is what Nabal is doing. So he kicks these men out. These men run right back to David and say, David, this is what's going on. He doesn't either believe us or doesn't care about you, and so he sent us back with nothing. David is enraged by this, and he says, we're just going to march on in, we're going to take whatever we want. We've been protecting his land, and we're going to, as a nation. He owes us. So they start marching that way. Now, Nabal's wife, Abigale, gets word of all of this and rushes out to meet David, basically imploring him to not take vengeance out on the household because her husband is a fool. She actually convinces David, and that's where we're going to pick up our passage today in chapter 28, verse 32, and I'll put it on the screen there so you can follow along. It says this: Then David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessed be your discernment. Blessed be you who have kept me this day from bloodshed, and from avenging myself to my own hand, by my own hand. Nevertheless, as the Lord God of Israel lives, who has restrained me from harming you, unless you had come quickly to meet me, surely there would have been left nothing of Nabal until morning, as much as one male. So David received from her hand what she brought him, and said to her, Go up to your house in peace. See, I've listened to you, and I have granted your request. There's a couple things I'd like to point out here. One is that David is the king of Israel. He can demand anything he wants from any of his subjects, and was rightfully upset that he'd been rejected. And Abigail runs in and begins to implore him, saying that her husband doesn't speak for everyone and doesn't really understand what's going on. So the first point I want to make is that taking wise counsel, godly counsel, from wherever it comes is healthy. Doesn't matter what your position is, doesn't matter what authority you have. Wisdom is wisdom. As long as it comes from God, we should be willing to accept that counsel. The second thing I want to bring up in this passage is that Abigail, of course, is female. And because of that, typically in Bible stories, they aren't the forefront of the story, aren't the forefront of the action, and currently aren't the ones seeking God's face and speaking with his words. But here, that is not the case whatsoever. So one more time, I want to say, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your background. Godly wisdom is godly wisdom. I implore you, just like I implore myself, to listen to godly counsel no matter where it comes from. In your daily life and in my daily life, when God speaks, we need to be ready to listen. Well, God bless, and I'll talk to you some more next week.